Hello there, fellow adventurer. My name is Ryan Ribbon, and I have been given a task by the king as his personal trainer and arswipe to travel from town to town in order to post his newest fitness decrees. You see, the king is trying to round up new recruits so that one day he can turn them into knights to fight in battle for his army. Now, if I do say so, you look like quite the promising recruit. Why don't we go inside to the tavern and we can discuss over a pint of ale all the fine things you need to know about becoming a knight. So without further ado, this is my beginner's fitness meta build. Now, if there is any special topic that sparks your interest, there will be timestamps in the description. Now, just like in video games, there are a ton of different fitness builds. You have the marathon runner, you have the 400-pound strongman. Each of them has its own strengths and weaknesses. At the end of the day, everything comes down to personal choice and what you want to personally achieve yourself, and what you're able to achieve yourself. This build, however, will be for the well-rounded adventurer, someone who's not looking to dump stat points into just one category. It would be a nice, even spread across the board. It'll be more of a jack-of-all-trades playstyle, if you will. Now, for this guide, I wanted to distill hundreds of hours of YouTube fitness content mixed with my decades of, personal experience training in the gym and, being active. I wanted to put in this guide all the knowledge I've gained over the years into just an easy-to-digest, simple, all-encompassing guide for you. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like to have to reinvent the wheel. Whenever I start a new game, I just like to go to a build guide, copy what they're doing, and go from there. Don't make it hard. You can do the same thing with fitness too. There are so many people out there who have such an insane amount of knowledge on how to do these things. I just want to condense that, boil it down into an easy-to-use package for the beginner, someone who's starting their fitness journey, and hopefully they can turn all that knowledge into something beneficial for them. Now, it's very good to start your journey with a reasonable expectation about what you can achieve, okay? In a world where social media is just absolutely flooded of pictures of people, taking steroids or on performance-enhancing drugs, it's very easy to get a distorted view of what you can obtain naturally. Now, truth be told, there is no easy way to change your life, but there sure are ways to help you get to where you want to be more easily. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish for you now. Now, there are a lot of things that are out of our control, like current age, genetics, so I want to focus on things that we can actually change. Now, the last part of the video will have the actual true secret to improving yourself. And no, it's not steroids, although they do work, but that's not it. So without further ado, I'd like to get into the first fitness decree that's going to help change your life.
Now, if you want to gain weight, you need to be in a calorie surplus. And if you want to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. In order for you to find out how many calories you can burn in a day, you need to find out what your basal metabolic rate is, or your BMR. BMR is basically the amount of energy your body needs and uses while it's at rest. For example, if you just laid in bed all day, to maintain basic functioning like breathing, blood circulation, and body temperature. Now here's an example of an online BMR calculator. Super easy to use, you just plug in information. This is mine, for example. I guess I'm 6 foot 13 inches, not 6'3". That's interesting. But my BMR is about 2,000 calories a day as well. Now, a pound of pure fat contains 3,500 calories. So if your BMR is 2,000 and you eat 1,500 calories a day, that puts you at a 500 calorie deficit. At that rate, it'll take you 7 days or a week to lose that whole pound of fat. Now, for 99.9% of the population, the more calories you are above or under, generally the more aggressive the weight loss or the weight gain is going to be. Now, things like activity level highly affect how many calories you burn each day. So if your BMR is 2,000, but I work in a physically demanding job like construction, and I also work out, now my baseline might be closer to 3,000, and I'll have to take that into account when calculating my calories. Now, this is another useful calculator you can use. It's a total energy expenditure calculator. You just plug and play all the numbers. It'll also ask you for your physical activity level. Now, don't overestimate this. Put in the correct value so you can get an accurate, eye on what you're looking at calorie-wise each day. Now, once you have that information actually in the calculator, it'll bring up a picture like this. It'll show you how many calories roughly you have just to maintain your weight, and it'll also be able to show you how aggressive your weight loss can be if you go into that high of a deficit each day. Now, we are going to keep this simple, guys. I only keep track of my daily protein intake. The fats and carbs, I just fill in with what I have left over after my protein goals are met for each day. Now, we're going to try to make this extremely easy to remember, everybody. A good goal to shoot for is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, okay? Like, for example, me, I weigh 220 pounds, so I'm going to shoot for 220 grams of protein per day. It's a nice round number, and it's very easy to remember. Now, the easiest sources of protein that you can get are generally animal and dairy based. You're talking your chicken breast, your steak, your eggs, your whey protein, fish, and things of that nature. Now, consumption times doesn't really matter as far as when you actually eat your food, as long as you're hitting your daily intake goals. I personally like to eat a meal 1 to 2 hours before I work out. That helps me avoid feeling fatigued during my workouts and gives me a little extra energy for those workouts. Now, I can literally count on one hand the amount of supplements that actually work. There's so much BS that companies and supplement companies are trying to tell you to buy that do actually nothing for you. They're just total dog shit. Do not buy those. Stick to the tried and trues. These are a few of them right here. Now, protein powder is something I can actually recommend. It's obviously not needed, but for me, it really helps to quickly and easily meet my protein goals each day. A lot of times I'm lazy. I don't want to have to cook. Just throwing some protein powder in a shake with just some water, mixing it around and chugging it, and getting 50 grams of protein is a nice and easy way to hit. Another one I could recommend would be creatine monohydrate. It's cheap. It's extensively studied. Don't listen to the BS people tell you about saying, oh, it's going to ruin your kidneys. They don't know what they're talking about. Basically, all it does is gives your muscles a small little energy supply boost during your workouts. That way you can eke out a couple more reps during your sets. Now, most people take about 5 grams per day. I think it's beneficial if you are a bit heavier on the bigger side to take more. So I do. I take about 10 grams per day. You just take a scoop. I just throw it in my protein shake. I drink it all at once. It's colorless, tasteless, and I just chug it down. Now, it can take a while for the creatine to actually saturate in the muscles for you to see the benefits of it. But if you're going to be taking it for a long period of time, like I've been taking it for over 10 years straight without stop, just do your dose per day, and over time it'll add up. Now, these next 3 I'm going to list are, guess what, not even necessary themselves either. They are just little additions you can add to your diet if you feel like you want to do that. I like to take a multivitamin each day just to cover all my bases in case I don't eat a well enough rounded meal that day. Super simple, just one a day, pop it in with my breakfast or my shake in the morning. No, vitamin D3 is one that I'm a strong proponent of. It's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, it has neuroprotective properties. It does, a great job supporting your immune health and muscle function, and it really helps me during the winter months with cabin fever. It really takes the edge off with that kind of seasonal depression that can kind of sneak in your way. It's the sunshine vitamin for a reason. Now, anecdotally, I haven't been sick after I started taking in vitamin D3 in over a year and a half, so that's something. Now, pre-workout is something that a lot of supplement companies will try to shove down your throat. It's really not that necessary. The main component in a lot of pre-workouts is just caffeine, the same thing that's in tea, that's in coffee. So I would say a good alternative if you don't want to shell out a bunch of money for just some propaganda, I would say just have some black coffee if you really need that boost before your workout. Now, some advice, I'd really try to avoid taking caffeine too late in the day. Say if you get out of work and you work out at like 8 or 9 p.m. and you were trying to go to bed by 11 or 12, I really would not recommend that. Sleep quality is hugely important, so I would really avoid anything that can disrupt that. Now, for the degree of strength training. Now, I like to do full body workouts. Everyone will have and give you a different answer on how to get big and strong, but this is what I do and this is what works for me. Now, I do these full body workouts about 2 to 3 times a week, and I don't schedule the workouts based on a Monday through Friday. I think that's kind of silly. I schedule my workouts based on how recovered I am and how my body feels. If I'm not sore, weak, or fatigued from the previous workout I did, then I'll try to work out again or try to work that muscle group out again. It's not that hard. Now, each workout I start with a heavy compound movement. I do that for the reason of I am the freshest, I have the most energy, and I feel the strongest. And this gives me the most bang for my buck. Now, I can really recommend starting with the muscle group that you want to improve the most. For me, it's always been my chest. I feel like that's lacking, where I felt like I could build my back without even really having to do anything. So it all comes down to personal preference. And if you really want to improve everything at the same rate, I would just rotate what exercise you start with each session you do and mix up what compounds you do. For example, Monday I'm going to start with a heavy incline dumbbell press. Thursday I'm going to start with squats, and Sunday I'm going to be starting with pull-ups. That gives me a big bang for my buck for each body part and keeps things fresh. Now, reps and sets, you've probably heard these terms being thrown around in just your general life. Reps, that's simply how many times you lift a certain weight. And with sets, that's how many groups of reps you do with that weight. For example, if I do 3 sets of 8 reps of bicep curls, that means I'm lifting the weight 24 times total. Now, sorry for the wall of text, but intensity is something that can be a bit more difficult to explain, especially if you're a newer lifter. There's a lot of nuance to it because a big part of intensity is knowing when you're fatigued, and as a newer lifter, that's really hard to gauge. You should be going until you are very near to not being able to lift a weight or straight up not being able to lift the weight at all. That's called muscle failure. Now you want to aim to get approximately 6 to 12 reps lifted with each set. Now if you can do more than 12, the weight is too light. And if you can't even do 6, then the weight is too heavy. This goes for pretty much each set you do. If the first set of bicep curls you are doing is only 6 reps, then for your next set you want to decrease that weight so that you are able to get in that sweet spot range again of 6 to 12. If the first time you walk into a gym and you pick up a weight to do an exercise and you're able to do that weight for, say, 25 reps, that's going to show you that it's way too light for you and you're going to want to increase the weight. You want to increase the weight until you land into that sweet spot of 6 to 12. Now, I personally do this for pretty much all of my exercises, and the weight over time and after each session should be steadily increasing. This is called progressive overload, and that's basically your muscle adapting and getting bigger and stronger over time. Now when lifting, think and focus on the muscle you are trying to target with the exercise, and focus on getting a nice stretch and some nice tension in the muscle. That is way more important than just throwing the weight around, aka ego lifting. If you have to use your whole body to do a bicep curl, for example, the weight is probably too heavy for you and you should lighten it up. Now here's an example of a full body day that I would do. You pretty much hit up most body parts. And the focus here is on the actual quality of the movement itself and not the actual quantity. You can do exercises for hours on end, but if it's just total junk and the weight is so light it's not actually giving you anything, then it's just a waste of time. Slowing the movement down and really focusing on the muscle you're trying to grow, having that mind-muscle connection is huge. If you build up that tension and you can really feel that muscle working, that is so important, and I can't, emphasize that enough. Now, if you're new to the gym, you might have a pretty hard time actually feeling the muscle you're trying to work out when you're doing it. That's okay. It's probably because you really don't have much of the muscle to feel yet. Over time, that connection will deepen and grow, and you'll be able to really start to feel that muscle stretch. And for the next decree, your cardiovascular health. Now, I'll admit, even for me, this is something I really didn't take seriously for a huge portion of my lifting career, especially once I got out of college and I wasn't really running anymore. Now that I'm getting older, something that I wanted to focus on more in my life is my actual longevity. Having big muscles is great and everything, but if you can't walk up a damn flight of stairs, then that's a huge issue. Having a strong heart is so important for the straight up reason of you just not dying young. We can't have our knights out there just dropping dead at the age of 35 because they're too fat to run around the battlefield. Now, incline walking on a treadmill at a brisk pace or even just hiking through the woods are great accessible ways to start your cardio journey. Now, it's actually pretty simple in order to increase your endurance. You just have to increase the variables that you're doing over time. You can slowly increase the speed, how far you've gone, the time you're doing it, or how fast you're doing it for whatever your chosen medium is. I've always liked hiking in nature, so trail running to me was the obvious next progression for my cardio journey. There's something about running through the trees that just makes me feel like Aragorn chasing down a pack of Urukai. Running on a treadmill is okay if that's all you have access to, but I'd strongly recommend trying to find a local park near you or a trail. You get a changing scenery and landscape, and it really makes you feel like a little kid again. It's amazing. Your age should never stop you from exploring what the world has to offer. Whatever you do decide to do, just take it slow and steady. This will help prevent injury and make you want to do it in the long term. The last decree is flexibility. Again, another build aspect that is often overlooked, but it's one that can really help with all the other physical aspects of your fitness journey. Injury prevention for me being the most prominent. Because remember, if you are injured, your build can be straight up bricked for a while depending on what type of injury you received. I do dynamic stretching before my runs, for example leg swings, and I do static stretching for each of my weight training sessions. If you're curious about what kind of stretches you should be doing for the activity you're doing, simple, just go to YouTube, type in the activity name, and then stretching afterwards. Get enough sleep. I swear to God, if you do not do this, I will find you, I will hunt you down, and I will put you into bed. 7 to 9 hours is the sweet spot. If you get poor sleep or lack of sleep, you'll be severely debuffed at the start of the day. Everything you do will suffer and will be harder to achieve. Now remember, caffeine, drugs, and alcohol will decrease your sleep quality, so plan accordingly.
Now, the secret to truly unlocking your body's potential. You ready? Consistency. I know. Simple. You can spend countless hours, researching, looking up videos, looking up the top 10 exercises to increase the strength in your big toe. But at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is staying consistent. The thing that matters the most is the trajectory that we are going in. And that trajectory should always be going up. Now, we all have our ups and downs. There have been plenty of times in my life where I had not worked out for months on end. But at the end of the day, I got back into it, I got back on the horse, and I found success. You will see changes, you will get healthier, you will feel better about yourself, you're going to look damn sexy doing it too. And that pretty much sums up all the aspects of my build. Now here we are at the end of things. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had an absolute blast making it. I have been learning an absolute ton recently on how to do all of this. It's been amazing, but I'm always up to learn more. So if you guys have any pointers, please drop them in the comment section below. I would love to read them. Thank you for watching. And as always, drink up. There's more. Thank you.